Okay, Assalamualaikum, sir.
Islam.
Okay, my question is, some of the parents who have strict father, have a characteristic of, he always right, he always correct in everything. So at the times that he's tried to make a children be like him, okay, that kind of father. Okay, my question is, what is the best action for the child who is trying to make a change of heart for the father when the times that the children have mature and so that they can make a decision for themselves?
Or they mature, right? They mature, the kids?
Yeah.
And is the mother living?
Yes.
Alive? Okay, fine. Okay. One of the, there are many things I can tell you. I'll just share with you a few things. A very important aspect is this, that the mother must never undermine the father. Very importantly. She must say words to this effect, Daddy tells you this because he cares for you. You need to find out about the father's own background. Number one, he loves you. And I'll give you my own example. Of all the brothers, I got the most hiding at home. Really. I was a naughty boy. Can make out I was naughty, right? I was a naughty boy, right? I got the most hiding from my father. When I was about 13 years old, when my father used to walk into the home, when we used to eat, we were very quiet. We ate in a dignified way. The father called me once, Edris! Immediately I'm there. He told the school, the teachers, the flesh is yours, the bones are mine. I could never complain about the school. Things are changed today, isn't it? Today you tell the teachers, you touch my kid, you finish. Right? The kid will tell the teacher, don't try your luck with me. My father, you put you away. This is how it is, right? So my father was very, very strict. Very strict. Very, very strict. But he mellowed many years afterwards. I loved him, At that time, when growing up, I thought my father hated me. You know what I'm saying? Because, it's one thing to feel love for your kids. It's another thing if your children do not experience that love. You know what I'm saying? Hugging is very, very important. So anyway, one day my mother told me, she said to me, Idris, do you know your father, after Fajr, he reads Yasin, he makes dua for each one of you by name. I said, Daddy, I couldn't believe it. You know what I'm saying to you? So it's very, very important to understand that. I don't think any father is malicious. Sometimes parents have no idea what they are doing. You understand? They have no idea. But it's terrible for kids to grow up in fear. It's not a good thing. So the mother, she knows him better than anyone else, right? So it's very, very important. She should give a much more balanced perspective. And in fact, it may be a good idea for the children together to speak to the father. To say to the father, Daddy, Allah bless you. I know you got goodness in your heart. But there are one or two things that we'll tell you now that worries us a bit. Share it with love. Share it with love. Now when people want to be right, who are people who want to be right? People that got low self-esteem. People who are insecure. People who are not prepared to, you can negotiate and talk to them. People not prepared to take another perspective. Right? And I'll tell you what happened. A particular story tipped my relationship with my father. Can I share the story with you? So maybe, right? And I think I did the last time. And this story I experienced in 1979. 1979, right? In August. I remember it so vividly. It was about a teacher who was very nervous about his first day at school. He wondered whether the pupils are going to listen to him. Right? I mean, would you go to a lawyer who says qualified today? A doctor qualified today, waiting for first patient? You will not go. You're nervous, right? You will go to someone with experience. So anyway, this teacher went to the school and the boys were very naughty, but there was one girl who was attentive. And he said, never mind, I would teach for her. And he began to teach for her. She was a very bright girl. And she had everything going for her. 3 weeks, the second semester, she hadn't come back to school. So the teacher asked the registrar, "Where is this girl?" He said, "Don't you know she committed suicide?" So he said, "I'll never rest until I find out." You know, she had everything going for her. You know, the whole world was an oyster. Why did she do what she did? And he said, "Why did I not get to know her better?" You know, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he knew everything in the minds of the Sahaba. Therefore, each thing he said to them was pertinent for each one of them. Am I right or wrong? Right. So anyway, he went to the home. He met the father and the mother. The father and mother were good people. But the father and mother never hugged the child, never expressed the love for the child. Right? So he decided now, once a week, to teach his students, on a Wednesday afternoon, I think it was, how to show love to your family. And one father recounts the story. This to me is a very story that moved me, that tipped from that day onwards. Whenever I used to meet my father, no matter where he was, I ran towards him, I gave him a hug. Right? And my father never forgot that. What happened? One father recounts the story. He said, one day when I was relaxed in my armchair, my son came to me. He said, "Daddy, Daddy, would you please stand up?" He said, I was taken aback by his request. Anyway, I stood up. My son hugged me and told me, "Daddy, I love you." I began to cry. I asked my son, my beloved son, "Why are you telling me this now?" And my son replied, "Must I tell you when you are dead?" So I phoned my father. And only recently I learned that one of my friends was there in my father's office when he took my call. There were no cell phones those days. I told my father, "Daddy, Daddy, Allah bless you. I love you, Daddy." My father said the same words, "Why are you telling me this now?" And I said, "Must I tell you when you are dead?" He cried and I cried. His heart was softened. You understand? In the end, the Quran is very clear. Save yourself and your family from the fire of hell. We need to help each other. So anyway, may Allah give you strength. May you reflect on yourself. I hope you're not thinking, I hope my husband was there for this talk, you know, or my wife, you know, he needs to learn. But use wisdom. When you go home, don't tell your wife or husband you should have been there. It was meant for you. You must rather go and tell that, "No, darling, I learned a lot about myself. I realized I can be a better husband, better father." Yeah, what you learned. Right? And that you got to use wisdom, you know. People get hurt very quickly. Right? Also remember my beloved wife in your prayers. And it's not easy for her because I travel quite a bit, you know, and help people. I make dua that whatever goodness comes, Allah blesses her. You know, I jokingly tell her sometimes, "You wanted an outstanding husband." She says, "Yes." See, I'm standing outside, like, you know, teasing. I hope in your homes, there is a sense of humor, you know. My wife and I have a nice philosophy about marriage, you know. She goes her way and I follow her, you know. That's it. Easy, right? Okay. Allah bless you, and may your homes be places of sanctuary, of love, of affection, of forgiveness, that you remind each other about your wider purpose, inshallah. And remember this, no matter what you are going through, Allah has not forsaken you. Allah will never forsake His banda, His creation, who turns to Him for help. Look at what our Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, words to the effect, "Even if your sandals pinch you, ask Allah for relief." And look at this, small thing like this, you know. Jazakumullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.